Hey everybody, I am Matt Hill. I'm with Knight, and this is our show, the Talking Energy Show. We are in the Trace Management Studios here in Oklahoma City. 15305?
304.
15304 North May. Come in and see these guys about your project, engineering, and lots of stuff, man.
Yeah, well-side consultants. Anything.
Well-side consultants. All right, well, everybody knows me and what I do, but
that's not true, Matt.
Oh, well, I have one announcement to make. Maybe you've all seen it on LinkedIn by now. I'm now doing business development for Night Fire Specialties.
What was that title? It wasn't just BD, was it?
Vice President.
Whoa, that's cool.
You know what that meant? It means that he called me and goes, hey, I got to make your business cards. What do you want on there? How about Vice President? Okay, that's fine. I don't care.
I saw the coolest business cards recently. It had a QR code on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just automatically puts me in your phone. I don't know how.
So it's like the
Not
Bob
everybody
Dole
does it.
of Night Fire.
There it is.
I'm the, yeah.
I don't know exactly what that means.
That sounds,
I'm Bob Dole.
Gotta
that
be
sounds
old.
quasi-complimentary.
I wasn't going to say old because I think you're probably around the same age as Matt, so he probably got the joke.
Might be.
Might be. Tiny bit. Hey, introduce yourself, Scott.
Okay, I'm Scott Garrison. I am a financial advisor with Garrison Financial, and we'll talk a little bit today about company plans, company benefits, and what to do if you are the owner, and what to do if you are the employee.
But you pivoted out of oil and gas into that.
I did pivot out of oil and gas. So oil and gas has a very
But not
unique
really.
tie to those corporate benefits because we have so much volatility inside our industry. So
So you're used to getting your guts kicked in every now and then, too.
I'm used to getting my guts kicked in. Usually it's because a financial advisor put somebody in a product that they shouldn't have been in for a volatile industry.
Yeah. But are you helping those in our industry that are need to move their 401ks around?
I do help. I do take care of personal financial planning as well, yes. And then I'd like to take care of company benefits.
Well, the reason I like you in here is because I want to introduce our good friend Donna King, who runs Energy Point here in Oklahoma City. Well, tell everybody about yourself, Donna. Like, what's Energy Point? How'd you get in oil and gas? Everything. I want to hear all about it. We got time for this.
Oh, I don't know.
We
It's
do.
been a long time. Well, thanks for having me, first
Yeah,
of all.
absolutely.
And I'm enjoying this conversation so far. So we'll just see if I don't put everyone to sleep. But I got into Chesapeake right out of college. I didn't know what I was doing. I went to Chesapeake and started in the land admin groups and was very fortunate, had a lot of great mentors, saw a lot of action at Chesapeake and a lot of wells drilled. So learned a lot, went through all the different basins, learned all the state regulations on how people should be billed and paid, and a lot of other jobs that a lot of people maybe don't want to do, but it has to be done. So learned a lot, stepped out in late 2014 and started and owned and managed a brokerage that did similar work where we did this for large companies, smaller companies. You have to maintain your records. You always have to know who the right people are to bill, pay, all of those things, and do it well. And when you have that kind of service, it resonates with people. I grew up on a farm in Kingfisher and understand the royalty owner side. And my dad's a farmer, and I'm very proud of that fact. I grew up driving the wheat trucks and all the things, but it helps
Seen
relate
the
to
pictures
the
of you
people.
out there still doing it. Good job. I'm so proud of you for that.
Well, thank you. They don't let me loose very often out on the roads.
Yeah, like just get on the tractor for the photo op and then get off.
Yes, that's basically it.
That's
yes.
fine. Did you like when you say you went to Chesapeake? You didn't quite know what you were about to do yet once you got out of college. Did they recruit you back then, or did you just find it like on the newspaper? I guess for us,
It wasn't.
kidding, I'm
It
not
was a
dating you.
newspaper print. Actually, I just had a connection through college. They had hired some of my friends and got on through them, and just wide-eyed, had no idea what I was getting into, but
it's a great
I love
company.
it.
So my wife got started. She went to Chesapeake and thrived.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
and they paid
great.
for another degree for her. So thank goodness for that. She got a master's through Chesapeake.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Did you get energy management? Where'd you go to school?
I went to Southern Nazarene, just business administration, just plain Jane. And
Misty
just
went to Southern
do that.
Nazarene.
Is it
too.
Southern Nazarene
Southern-
University? It's a time for
There you go.
Or
There
is
you
it
go.
That's
time to
exactly
begin?
how
Time
it
to
is.
begin.
Yeah,
You're real
there it
close.
is. Mhm.
What I've
I've heard
learned
him.
is that
Catchy jingle.
Christian college. There's quite a few. I shouldn't say well-known, not maybe partiers is too strong of a word, but I've heard a lot of things about Rule breakers.
I mean, I wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
So.
Those dorm room windows stayed closed tight. You never escaped in and out of them. Yep, I agree. What about the brokerage? Like when you say you went from Chesapeake to brokerage, for those that are not in oil and gas that might be watching this, what is a brokerage?
Basically, it's a company that provides outsourced services or services that you don't want to hire in-house. So if you're running title or leasing, or you need to clean up data from one transition to another, I learned a lot about that. And then I joined Flywheel Energy after that. They were a great private equity company, and I learned a lot there as well, and realized I kind of missed the consulting and services space. So started Energy Point in January of this year, and I'm thrilled to be working and busy and really active in the space. We're seeing a lot of transactions with the uptick in prices, and we're able to help kind of any size of company. We've got mid-sized clients, small operators, kind of running the gambit right now. So excited about all of that. I think small operators are kind of our sweet spot. There's a lot of this type of work that they need to have done in order to prepare for a sale, or maybe they're thinking about retiring and they think, hey, I need to, get my company's assets in order. We can help with that. Or someone passes, we can help with like energy estate planning and making sure everything's in order so they get all of the interest transferred from one entity to another, or a trust or something along those lines. So we're happy to help in any way that we can, and leverage our industry experience to make sure that we're giving the best service.
So they get to keep being the specialists at what they do, and then you come in and take care of all the stuff.
Yes, they can go operate or do whatever part of the business that they like, and then we can kind of take care of all of the maintenance of records, ownership transfers, filing of regulatory documents.
That sounds awful.
All of the title things. I know, but weirdly enough, I love it.
She loves all that. Yeah, she gets into the minutia of it and takes really good care of it. Like Jeremiah, for a company like yours, Mido Resources, like, do you take care of all of that yourself, and you see the value in a company?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. So Mido's not too bad because we're the named operator, but I bought a lot of non-op last year. Now that's a whole different ballgame. So as the named operator, everyone submits their assignments to me, and I give them back division orders. When you're a non-op, you just have working interest or royalty interest in a well. You're really at the mercy of the other operator to acknowledge they've even gotten your paperwork and do the assignments transfer over. So I was thinking, I've actually been going through this. I closed on all these assets last year in October, and I'm still fighting to get division orders back, like get all the interest in my name from the old operator. And there were several problems with it, right? I bought some assets that, for the most part, were not well kept, right, as far as their records. So it's been a real journey to get this far, and I still have some. So I was actually going to ask some questions about that because I actually am burnt out. I just need someone else to come in and finish this up. Yeah.
For those of you that are burnt out looking through all these documents, she loves it.
Well, when you get a lot of non-op, and you get, like, I got 200 wells, but the average interest in these wells is like 3 to 5% or something like that. So it's not a big mover. The operators don't care at all, and for the most part,
you do.
Yeah, and it could be 6 to 8 weeks before you even get a response, especially like Conoco, Phillips. Oh man. And they've got all these other divisions. Sometimes it's just nice to hand the keys to someone that does this as a pro, and we'll stay on it till it's done. So I will actually be talking to you.
Absolutely, that's great. Well, that's the fun part. Is we had this great, fun for me. We had this great network of people that we all work together, and we're kind of raised at Chesapeake, and now they're dispersed among the world. So we usually know a person or have a contact that we can reach out to that will help us facilitate, expedite maybe some of these things. So it's nice to leverage our network.
For my buddy Jeremiah.
Well, there's been so much consolidation in sales. Yes. That's the other part. So when all the name changes of all the operators has been so fluent, so you don't even know where to send this stuff. So knowing someone that's already been through it or is involved in it some way, yeah, anything's helpful.
And what I like about this story is that you're pretty fluent in all of this. I mean, you have done a lot of research. I've watched you, grow into your operation. Transitioning from the business development here at Trace, and then working with these guys here in your own projects and operations. And now I see, like, if you go to the Corporation Commission here in Oklahoma, and I know you'll do this. I don't know how many. There's probably 2,500 operators in the United States, maybe.
In the United States, no, there's much more because you got all the pumpers, right? And you got people that all those stripper wells. Or are you talking about like drillers? Or
I'm talking about like if you go to the Corporation.
There's more than 2,500 operators in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Yeah, you're saying the United States, right?
Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma. So about 2,500 operators here, but most of those are maybe like a mom and dad on the farmland that we're an operator on this well, but we need all this taken care of. You know, you can see, I mean, I've got a good buddy, Scott. He's got 2 wells, and I don't know who all takes care of that for you, but you really are going to feel like you're going to have to hire more people, Donna. A lot of people. Who do you need right now? Landmen?
Yes, division order people, lease records people, and thankfully we've had really good luck and have a really solid team in place, and they've been able to handle a lot. We're also, I really enjoy technology and leveraging different management techniques. So we're leveraging a couple of different things, which is Kanban, which is kind of a new concept. Google uses it. I did some research because I think we all find ourselves in places where we need to have more throughput with less manpower. So it's just basically a way to reorganize your work and manage it differently so that you can get higher throughput. Toyota uses it, like a lot of different companies, factories
What
use
is
it.
throughput?
Throughput is how much work product, whatever it is, can you get through your system and how quickly. So just measuring how much you can push through your project management, all of the projects that we're managing. It also helps kind of leveraging agile scrum methods. So where you like have a quick stand up with your team every day for 15 minutes. Where's everybody at? They tell me where their roadblocks are. I'll go knock them out, or whoever my project manager is will go knock them out. And so that way the work keeps moving and they keep going. And it's just a way to create some visibility, some good key performance indicators, KPIs, metrics. And we've actually seen some really great success. So when I was at the private equity company I had a lot more work than I could shake a stick at, and really understood that if we managed our work a little bit differently, we had 8 people and we had the same throughput and had more capacity than like if I were at a larger company, we had about 22 to 25 people. So it was dramatic results and just reorganizing and thinking differently.
I'm way into this.
Why does the new generation have to make new words for efficiency?
Okay, that's right. It's basically efficiency.
I like that you just called her. Hey, that's good.
Also,
New
thank
generation.
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
New
I appreciate being a new generation. That was nice.
Do you see the value in like teaming up? I mean, being in the industry for so long, and now you step and go do financial planning for people, so you can team up with companies like hers and say, hey, by the way, whenever you're finished packaging up what they need on that side of it, then they can come to you and say, okay, well now here's all this money I'm making from the oil and gas properties I own. Now what do I do with it? Reinvest it in oil and gas.
Yeah, oil and gas stocks. Zero diversification. No diversification.
Oil and gas done me real well last year, but
Yeah.
a little
It's going to continue
diversification
to.
is a very good idea.
Well, you can buy ESG now, right?
This is true.
Is that something in the financial side of things you're starting to see as like investors asking you at all? Like, hey, what is this whole ESG
investors? The big money went hard into the ESG
of course
sector, obviously. And so a lot of that, in my personal opinion, once again, completely my personal opinion, this is not investment advice in any way, shape, or form. But in my personal opinion, a lot of people went into that because there's a lot of government money and spending being done in that field.
Oh, it's fascinating.
So it
how
made
much
it look sexy, and it
government
made it look
money,
big, and it made
my
it look
money.
amazing. And honestly, the oil and gas industry was really neglected, and it's been a fantastic investment for the last 2 years.
If we embrace it right and monetize it correctly, it's going to be a boom again.
It could be huge.
The neatest thing I found today, a friend of mine from Colorado called me. He's in a software company as well, and he was telling me about a friend of his who is going out to use solar panels to run the pumps out at the rig sites. So whenever they use solar panels, they get carbon credits. Those carbon credits they're able to sell, and roughly like $45 for, I don't know, each carbon credit, something like that. But the pumps were running on the gas, right? So they're able to use the carbon credits now as government money, is given to them. But they still get to sell their gas that they were running the pumps with. Now that gas is free and clear to go back through the pipeline, and they're making money on it too.
That's efficiency.
What a racket.
Yeah.
But throughput. Just kidding.
and how great is it? I mean,
ESG throughput.
to invest
That's right.
into a sector
Increase.
that might be paying you 5, 6, 7% dividends when the stock's at the basement level. So it's a pretty fantastic idea too.
Yeah, I mean, anything we can do is our that's why I want financial people in here with us as much as possible, so that we can find out like what can we do as an industry to be, I'm unabashedly for profit. Right now with the new business development I'm doing, I went to the websites and I started boning up on what kind of ESG points I can provide with my fire suppression units. We are out there saving equipment and lives. So what does that do for those people to go, hey, by the way, we're putting these units out on our sites and people will be saved lives. Also, if these tank batteries burn down, there's that much environmental destruction. So now we're saving that. So surely so everybody, we're going to have to all start looking at that.
And it's also tied together that give a little credit to the Crude Life podcast I was listening to a while back. It had a young lady that had a startup that was it was not, but she was finding a way to filter the lithium out of wastewater.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Bryan in Oklahoma. I mean, do you read that article about how Arkansas might be one of the biggest deposits of lithium on the planet? Yeah. So we, because of the way our brine water sits, they think that Oklahoma might actually be bigger. So they're looking into that.
So there you go.
We don't need Afghanistan, even though Biden turned over Afghanistan to the Chinese so that they could, use the green energy movement to destroy oil and gas and give away all of those, minerals to us cheaper. I mean, I wear a tinfoil.
I think technically that was Obama, by the way. Right? That was we're pulling out. That was a long time ago.
If you want to go one layer behind the curtain, Jeremiah, thank you for knowing how I think. Yeah.
So basically, the oil and gas industry is ESG.
Yeah, we created ESG unbeknownst to ourselves at the time. Yeah, now we're embracing it and going to make sure that everybody's going to pay for it. It's good. I like it.
Scott, you've been pushing a lot of people towards Devon with their 7% variable yield
dividend.
I try not to
push single stocks to clients.
Oh, you're doing like EFTs or whatever? ETFs?
I try to help people structure. I try to stay away from that. If they want to do some gambling, some Vegas money, go ahead and get on one of the online accounts and roll the dice.
Sure.
But and I'm not going to lie, there's a couple of single stocks that I check out myself. But for the most part, 90% of my retirement, 90% of my investment money, I try to make sure that I stay diversified and into ETFs and mutual funds and 401k plans, things such as that.
We love new technology in this room a lot. What software should we be using to kind of look at investments in our own personal money? What do you like?
Well,
what do you like for me?
As far as software goes, as a business owner, your company should be looking for company plans that have great software included in the plan, and that's one of the things that I see a lot is that
it's already included.
I see a lot that somebody will have a simple or a SEP or a 401k, and there is no online platform. And what kind of in 2021, what kind of a benefit is that to an employee that they can't even get online and check out what's going on inside their
I mean, for me, that's good because I'll get in there and screw with it and lose all my money. So, yeah.
Are you telling me they got to send a fax to make a stock trade or something like that?
Dial up, brother.
I couldn't imagine that. Yeah. No website. Ugh, that sounds
is your throughput software? Is that something like anybody can go? You want to plug them? Like, can we go and buy this off the shelf?
She probably wants you to use her.
Actually, no, I don't have the software. It's just a methodology. But you can use Azure DevOps. It's already set up with Microsoft, and I would leverage that. It keeps all your metrics and everything like that for it. So it helps me when I'm bidding work. It helps us to keep our costs low and be really efficient with and good stewards of the work that we get.
I'm fascinated by technology. My friends in here that come watch this, like Blue Bison Analytics, I'm gonna plug them. They have the evaluation software, very cool. And then like our friend that I've introduced you to, John Simmons with CloudBreak. He's all about the throughput.
Yep.
They have developed a software for, basically procurement and project management. Like, hey, speed this up. You're having that stand up, team thing.
Yep.
Right away. You see the problems. Like, this project's over there with them. This part of it's over there with them. So
yes.
In what I do, I'm going to have to ramp up production right away. So I'm starting to go, oh shoot, we used to be able to build 10 of these units in this shop. Now I'm going to need like 50 a month right away.
Well, what are you using for your customer tracking? What is it? CRM?
Oh, me personally? Oh man, I've always used Salesforce. Yeah, it's just been easy. But honestly, like, I can use LinkedIn now. They've developed that whole back end sales navigator deal, so it can do a lot of that as well. And it's cheap. It's like sales navigator is like $75 a month. And I'm a LinkedIn rock star anyway. I love LinkedIn. I'm always on that.
Yeah, dude. When I look on there, it's like, oh, Matt's interviewing someone else. Yeah, it really is.
I I like it.
I always wonder about that too, like because I see like all the like I follow the people that I like to follow, so I see them a lot, and it knows the algorithm, right? But like, how much am I in people's faces? I've no clue. Like, I'm terrified. Like, they're gonna be like, I've got to delete this guy because it's all I see.
Substantial, by the way.
Thank you. Well, yeah.
You make up the better part of my feed, but maybe it's the algorithm. Like, why is he always zooming in on Matt's photos, right? That's what it is. So, all I did is Matt, all the way down.
So terrifying to me. Like, I just want to be on there. Like, when you want to find me, that's it. Like, I want them to have to search for me. Like, everybody unfollow me and just come find me when you want to. That'd be better.
It's great.
So, Matt, is Knight the same Knight?
No, it's Knight Energy Services, which came out of Knight Oil Tools. They used to be the family at Knight that owned it, and then Clear Lake Capital bought them. And I have a really good relationship with them. I called them yesterday morning. I mean, so Steve Knight like cornered me. He's like, "Hey, this is what's going to happen. The whole world's going to need fire suppression, and I need you to like field all these phone calls from all these customers." I was like, "All right, let's do this." And I called my bosses, the vice president Cody Conover and Dwight Gross at Knight Energy Service, and I said, "Hey, I've got this opportunity, and it shouldn't conflict with you guys at all, right? It's two different companies." I didn't even think to mention like, "Hey, by the way, they're both named Knight," but it is, read the room. It's a little confusing, but either way, they're both super supportive. Like, I can sell for both, no problem. It's not gonna hurt either one's feelings if I keep all my people in the world that need drill pipe running.
And should probably complement each other.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's easy for me. I just say, "Hey, I'm Matt with Knight."
Yeah.
Like, if you have a company named Knight and need me to put your logo out there, I'm willing to take your money.
Soft drink.
Done.
Yeah, do I get a new sticker for the race car then?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a big sticker. But
You were supposed to give me one with thumbs up.
now I'm just going to give you the big thumbs up sticker. So goofy.
I'll hold you to that.
Jeremiah races cars, by the way. You might need to insure him.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Do you sell insurance packages for crazy people?
I do sell insurance packages, but we do have some
It's probably life insurance, isn't it?
stringent. We have some pretty stringent underwriters.
That car only goes like 60 miles an hour. It's fine. It just goes.
That's awful.
It goes for. It goes. Yeah.
That's
It's
awful.
terribly slow and goes in like laps for.
But it's only
days.
slow because it doesn't run that much. It's typically broken down.
Can you get like I've been wondering about this. Like, could you not incorporate some of the like Tesla? That is an awful sound that you do that on purpose on my podcast. I know it. He always hits the mic. Everybody, when you hear these noises and have to turn off your headset, it's Jeremiah.
I'm not very good at sitting still.
Do
Sorry.
you have a lot of that whiskey before you start the?
No.
Start up first thing, brush my teeth in the morning,
No, I
and
mean
just get to
before the
dinner.
racing.
Oh no, not too
No,
much.
okay.
Man, I'm in a car for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. So yeah, the only thing I want is water.
Yeah.
All right, so I like to ask a question like, where do you see our industry going toward the future? Like, what do you see happening in your space in the industry? Like, what can you guys offer in the future to really ramp up, our stake in oil and gas here in Oklahoma? That's a big question, sorry.
It's a big question. I mean, I love the uptick and what the transactions and things that are happening. I think that we can provide a really good consolidated service and be able to scale information and have things more standardized. So I know it's a big task, but when a grandparent dies or a parent dies or someone and they have these file cabinets full of what is really actually liquid gold, like it's gold, like you can't replace that. It's meaningful. It means something to the families to be able to keep it in the family, organize it, have it all ready to go, so that in the event that something does happen, you can do that. So that's how I think we can help, is like, I guess, bring people forward in technology and modernize kind of land management. But another, the great thing about that is that you do see these wells and these assets time and time again. I mean, I've touched the same wells. I worked at Chesapeake, I don't know how many times through different companies, because they've all transacted several times. So it's neat to see like how the improvements are coming along, but it's also great to promote and help develop. I've had the opportunity to work with several different software companies and help them develop actual industry needed products or things that are needed, so that you can have some customization, leverage the technology so that you can get more with less people. And this outsourcing model is really popular and it makes a lot of sense. So I do see some more like consolidation of basins. I would love to see that. So if you're looking at like an Oklahoma and everybody takes in kind and all of these operators are then doing duplicative work at all of these different shops, if you think about it, you have 6 operators in a well and they all have a land admin department or land department. it makes a lot of sense to come in and consolidate all of it.
One well,
kick it back
one-
out
yeah.
to their, like, leverage technology, kick it back out to their accounting systems. They can still manage all their finances and everything that they need. But let's consolidate it. Let's cut everybody's G&A, increase the profits that they're making off of the wells, and do something that makes sense. So I see a combination of just leveraging people and technology and some industry experience, some common sense things, and just
Making
coming
sure
to
that
the
all
table.
the people that have interest in that well is actually getting paid.
Yes, it's
Donna,
a big deal.
Can you explain the pooling, forced pooling?
Yeah. Hey, in Oklahoma, we have forced
Yeah.
pooling,
Yeah,
unlike
can-
other states.
yeah, can you
It's a
explain
great-
that?
Great question.
It's a really nice thing. I think Oklahoma does a lot of things right. So when they're going out to lease a well, you might have some holdouts. Some people either you can't find, or people that just refuse to like sign an actual oil and gas lease. So the state of Oklahoma said, okay, well, we can't just leave these people out, or we can't leave the tract of land out. It has to be pooled. We need to have a unit, a denominator to solve everything off of. So we're going to pool the 640 acre section. That means that everybody that owns something in that section is going to be entitled to a royalty, whether or not they're going to accept it or not, whether or not they're going to sign a lease. We can, there are remedies to make sure that there is royalty set aside. Should they pass on? Should somebody buy it? Should somebody do something? So it's a remedy to a problem that is rampant in, like, at Texas or another place where that interest just goes into 8/8. Like it never sees a payout,
Okay.
and that person never gets paid. So it's a way for the operators also to kind of spread out costs. So if there's 40 acres of unleased interest, they can spread those costs and elect to either take additional working interest or not.
So let's say somebody inherited 40 acres in Ouachita County, and they want to know if their family has some royalties sitting somewhere that they didn't even know about. Is that something that they contact you about? Is that something?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can run it down. We can look at that section, see who the operators are, if there's any production, if that operator's still around. We can kind of track down and run some traps there to help out. Another thing I think Oklahoma does really well that I don't think a lot of people realize, Oklahoma and Arkansas Arkansas kind of does it, but Oklahoma does it really well. So let's say you did have those 6 operators in a well, and they all decided they could get a better deal, and they're all marketing their gas all over. That royalty owner then would normally, under any other state, expect a check from 6 different operators. It's deducted 6 different ways. There's very difficult to kind of reconcile those interests and how those interests should be paid. Okay. Whereas Oklahoma says, okay, no, the royalty owner gets one check from the operator. You guys figure it out. The operators remit back that payment and that portion of the royalty that the royalty owner is owed to the operator, and the operator passes through and distributes it. But that's something that I think Oklahoma does really well, is make sure that the royalty owner gets paid.
So
There's-
government
there is
did
some back
something
and forth
right.
of-
I
yeah.
mean, it was great.
Well, she said it, so we're gonna just everybody gets their own opinion, but yeah, maybe our government can do some things.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oklahoma.
So when does something become unitized?
Well, it's kind of, I mean, I guess after the
So
cooling orders have been,
yeah, but how do they
filed
develop a unit?
well, so the geologist and, everybody goes out, says this is our prospect, and then we do the title research on the land side. I can speak to that.
Yeah,
really
that's all
well,
I'm
yeah.
asking about.
So land would go out and say, okay, we want to run title for this section. We need to figure out who owns in this section. Then we have a lease negotiator that goes out and says, okay, we're going to pay up to like $100 an acre or $200 an acre for this land. We think it's worth that. And we'll offer either a quarter royalty, a 3/16 royalty, an 1/8 royalty, and you kind of have that negotiation on higher lease bonus, lower royalty, or vice versa. Sign all of the leases. Then a title attorney puts together a title opinion, so it's certified. And then the well is unitized, pooled. You have all of this. You have first production, and then it goes into the division order world, and they split everything proportionally according to how everybody owns in the well,
So
which sounds like a lot
cool.
of math.
Yeah. The unit. So unitization just says if you own 1 acre, you're entitled to 1/640th of the
1
section.
over 640 multiplied by a royalty rate.
Now, where does this 8/8? What is that stuff? What is all
An
that? 3/16.
8/8,
Why do they
right.
use that?
Well, way back in the day, this is oil and gas folklore.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, you kind of had this landowner who owned the land and a wildcatter who was like, I need to drill my well on your land, and they had to come up with some sort of equitable provision. So, this guy's taking all the risks and paying all the costs. So he's like, I'm entitled to a lot more because you wouldn't have anything if I didn't drill this well. And then the
The
landowner
landowner's like, wait a
agreed,
minute,
like-
you wouldn't have anything if I didn't let you
Exactly,
drill it.
exactly. So they came up, and I think the first lease was 1/8 lease. So of the revenue, the landowner is entitled to 1/8 of whatever proportionate share they own, and the working interest owner is responsible for all of the costs,
Right.
and then gets 7/8 of that revenue back.
Okay. So that's
Sometimes
where
you
it was.
wonder why any landowner would have ever just sold the mineral rights underneath them. I mean, really, you just get boggled down. You're like, you should, if you own the land, you should own the minerals. What are you thinking?
I don't think a lot of people know at all.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I was buying real estate, right? And
Thinking
bought
that you owned everything.
Well, no. I had all these houses. I had one in Midwest City. It was an absolute turd. It was 708 Christine. I remember this house very well.
If you're there, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a horrible house. Like the AC units kept getting stolen, like while the tenants were there, and they would destroy the AC unit out there just to get $50 copper, right? It
It
was,
was like that, what was that Kevin Bacon movie with the house that was
Lost on. My pop culture references are.
there's
just,
one with
I'm
Tom
terrible.
Hanks. What?
I listen
Money
to
Pit,
podcasts.
right?
I watch-
There's
I watch
Money
movies.
Pit. But either way, it had mineral rights, and I was younger, and all I wanted to do was unload this house.
Right.
So I sold the turd, and I didn't even think to keep the mineral rights, so it went with it.
I actually
Is there anybody going to use the mineral rights from that house underneath?
I
there?
Perhaps.
actually have
Some-
0.4 acres of mineral rights underneath my home in Elk City, Oklahoma.
There you go. Well, Elk City
Right.
has a better chance.
Did you pay more when you bought your house because of that?
I did not.
See, they probably didn't know the value
I don't-
either.
I do not think they even knew that they had them.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me, and I regretted that. Great. Granted, they may never do anything with
Got a
it. or
couple
they
of nice
might.
checks back in 13 and 14.
Did you?
Why do you think some small operators don't like the forced pooling? Just they don't have the right to say no. You can't. You know,
I can tell you why.
Yeah, tell me.
I think.
What do you think?
Well, they're still in their milkshake.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much if they've got a vertical, an old producer over there in the corner, and they're afraid pretty much they're going to get frack bashed, and it's going to destroy the economics of their well. So it's pretty much they just don't want someone else to come in and drill.
Yeah. So the
Would that be
the small,
correct?
the small vertical operators really
That is a
feel
problem out there.
pushed out of that area. Yeah.
So what does Texas do? Are you familiar with Texas as well? Yeah, their section or however it's broken up is such a mess. Like we have our township range and all
I love
that.
Oklahoma. It's nice and square.
Oh my gosh,
Everything's
yeah.
nice,
We
and
like
then you have
squares.
Texas, and it's just
Yeah, all these
abstract.
random surveys. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
crazy. I have no idea how to understand anything in Texas.
Abstract lots and blocks and meets and bounds. It's a different animal completely, and their rules are much different than Oklahoma's rules. So if you are an unleased owner in a well and they're pooling 160 acres and they're going to drill this well, if you're unleased, they're just kind of go around you. Like you have a boundary and they go around you, and you don't get any of the benefit of being in that well until after the well pays out 100%. So by that time, you've had all of the prime production has
absolutely
gone.
incredible.
They get to come back in with 8/8 of their interest. So they, instead of going,
Wow.
getting a little bit of the royalty payments on flush production, they actually end up coming in after payout. A lot of states except for Oklahoma and Arkansas are structured that way.
Okay, I did want to ask this earlier when you had brought it up. So which would you take? Would you take the upfront bonus, or would you take the long term on your interest? If someone came to you and said, "Hey, we're going to drill under you," do you want the lease bonus, or are you going to go for the long term royalty interest?
Long-term royalty.
You're a
owners,
gambler.
Amen.
You're gambling.
It's not a
It could
gamble
produce
anymore.
for 30 years.
Or more?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
it's
got
way
wells
better.
older than
Our
that.
our geologist.
It could,
reservoir-
or it could be like a fart of gas and that's it. You're right.
Well, then
the
I
drilling
don't think you
production
lose that
guys, man, the geologists, reservoir guys, they know they're not going to go drill those wells anymore.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
but I mean, you've
trust
seen
them
it happen
now.
though,
Yeah, I mean,
nonstop.
it's so much
look at
more
Alta
rare
Mesa.
now. Well, I mean, yeah, but Alta Mesa wasn't because they didn't have an amazing drilling program. They were kicking butt. It was because of the, maybe the Houston office didn't, take care of that so well. Hey, I have a really interesting question. Jeremiah and I were talking about this. Everybody is now. So the Bitcoin mining, right? How do we pay the gas owners? And, what
I
in the
read
world
it.
are we going to do? Like when that comes up out of the ground. So that used to be flare gas,
Uh-huh.
and now it's going to be monetized. But I mean, once it's up out of the ground, I don't know. I mean,
it's produced.
it's produced.
I could make an argument under the lease that it's a production and should be entitled and paid to the royalty owner.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
at what rate?
Yeah.
At what rate? If there
Where-
wasn't a market.
Bitcoin. Where I guess that's where we're going to position ourselves next is understanding the Bitcoin translation to pay
I
royalty
mean,
owners.
yeah, exactly. I mean, do you now sell a Bitcoin and just divide that up amongst all the owners? I mean, it's
Well, would that be working interest or royalties? So
Yeah.
the one thing I saw one model where it was they just pay, they buy the gas off you for 50 cents an M, And then, you have your own generators and servers
yeah.
out there that mine the Bitcoin, and you're entitled to everything. So you give your royalty and working interest partners the 50 cents
the
an in.
wellhead. Uh-huh.
You're right, because it was stranded gas. Now, that's completely different if there was actually a pipeline. I'm only referring to stranded gas with no
Yeah.
pipeline.
This was being burned off yesterday, and it was $0. Now today we found a way to monetize it. I mean,
If anybody is watching and wondering why we're talking about Bitcoin mining from the gas production, it is because Bitcoin actually got up to the point where they were in the top 30 of energy using nations in the world. If you put their energy stamp on a world, they'd be in the top 30. And so now they're trying
well,
to
our industry
find
as a
ways
whole,
to-
we're not going to be allowed very quickly to even flare gas. It is going to have to be done something with. No more methane emissions. So we have the technology and the brain power to fix it, and Bitcoin's a great way to do it. So now we need to start, figuring out, okay, well, the mineral owners, the gas owners, they're going to come after that money too.
Absolutely.
They're going to want that money.
That's
So-
why, yeah, I didn't do it. Like we discussed it at length, but we just didn't know the ramifications, and we didn't want to be the first mover to find out the hard way. So I don't know if that's been figured out yet.
I mean, can you
I
set a
don't think it
Bitcoin
has.
mine up there and just start mining Bitcoin until somebody comes out and goes, hey, what's that machine? I don't see that flare anymore. Like,
The problem with that is they're like, "Oh, you've been doing this for 2 years. Okay,
Yeah,
let's see how
time's
that revenue you made."
interest.
Yes.
yeah, well, by then, I mean, yeah, it's interesting, but like, what would you do when they come to you? Is that how you divide it up? Start paying it at you don't know yet.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be.
It's gonna be
case
contract by
law,
contract
and
by
then it's gonna
contract.
be- you're going to, start seeing all the lawsuits pop up. So you're going
Okay.
to get some case law decisions, case decisions, and then go up to, I'm sure, some sort of regulation.
Really soon, you're going to see the IRS come in. And,
Oh yeah, that's also going to.
Yeah,
that's
that's
also
gonna-
going to be a mover.
So the
It's
IRS
tax.
is going to start looking about how much Bitcoin I have, and
the IRS is really starting to crack down on crypto.
but they're not going to know how much I have, right?
If they can seize $1 billion from the Silk Road guy, who are you? I mean, you are Matt Hill, but
He is Matt Hill. Scott, don't feed his ego.
Thank you, Scott.
Now Ross, though, that dude was he was operating pretty much not in gray. He was
he
doing
was
some
all black.
Yeah, he was doing some pretty bad
is
stuff.
true.
So they would have
This is true.
confiscated any money he had.
Anything they
yeah,
could get their hands on
anything
from
he
him.
had,
That's-
they would have
that's
got
a good
either way.
point.
That was pretty cool. He was an innovator, not in the best way, but
Not in a very
it's
good
pretty
way.
interesting.
Is it? Yeah, I'm made up with Bitcoin mining and oil and gas right now. So like if it was your gas, what would you want done with it? Do you want to be paid in Bitcoin, or do you want to be paid like at the wellhead off the gas?
I don't know.
Bitcoin. Say Bitcoin.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Bitcoin. I don't
So
have,
there's a
I don't have the
cost.
Bitcoin investment that you do.
Associated. So when I looked at it, now this was 2 years ago. I bet you the costs are substantially higher because everyone's doing it now. But it was about $100K to put a generator out there, and then a server farm or the miners. It was $100K to buy the equipment. I'd imagine it's $200K now.
We just saw
So-
Zach and I from Blue Bison. We went and saw $1 million. Basically $1 million investment, and they're going to make $1 million. But that $1 million is going to be basically a tax write-off, and they are going to make $2 million their first year, basically. So good for them. It's awesome, and it's just something we're going to have to wrap our heads around, because the whole ESG and no flaring, and we have a way to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing something with it. I hate inefficiency. So you have this energy, right? You guys driven right over by what is it, Penn Square Mall, and
Bell Isle, man.
DSW, that flare that has been going
Yes.
next to the flower place forever. What a waste! What a waste of energy.
7,000 years that thing's been going, Jeremy.
Is that it?
We've wasted
Matt knows. He
Exactly.
drove by.
Yesterday, right?
the time machine that took me here.
That's the one that always comes to mind with me. I'm like, oh, look at that thing. It's just been burning forever.
Yeah, could have powered our homes for all these years. Well, what do you want to plug? What are you doing these days? You got you need any charity?
You got a website? You got something you
Yeah.
want people-
How do people get a hold of you? Start like, hey, please, Donna, take care of all of our oil and gas assets. We cannot do it at all by ourselves.
Yes, easy to get a hold of. Our website is energypointllc.com. And my phone number is 405-818-3033. And we're pretty easy to get a hold of. Our email information, contact information is on our website. And we would love to be able to connect and see how we can help you. We just are passionate about preserving value, creating value. If you have minerals out there that are unleased even, or they're not producing, we can look and see if you're entitled to suspense, interest payments, all of the other things. Just really check it out and make sure that we're on top of it. If they're, we know if leasing place and other things that are going on, maybe we can make sure that you're getting the most value out of your minerals.
Would you have enemies if you created like a software that is just like, hey, I'm going to notify everybody in the world that's alive if you have, mineral rights. Like, hey, by the way,
Technically, they have to do that, right? They have to.
Notifications part of the force pooling.
Yeah. They have picture text that'll go. Or do you call them picture text or land name?
I mean, I don't picture text.
What are the guys that go to the courthouses and take pictures?
Imagers, yeah.
Imagers. Oh, okay. I
picture
thought they
text.
were
It's fine. Imagers.
Whatever.
There's-
Whatever.
There's software for that now.
JPEG text. I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, really, my uncles, I know they own mineral rights, but I mean, they're in Oregon and no one's going to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
But I know there's been drilling activity around them. So, somebody at some point, they put an ad in the paper and say, hey, by the way, this area, right? That's what I'm saying.
But it goes to a state fund if it's uncollected for so long, right?
That's great. So you have a cheat unclaimed property, and so you can look there too to see if any of the operators has cheated your funds to the state of Oklahoma or whatever last known state of residency that you had. Unclaimed property is another whole other topic that
You can do that too, right?
we can help with, yeah.
Now, how would that work? We'll say you bought a bunch of assets off of Joe Blow, and Joe retired, closed his entity. Hypothetically, yeah. He moved on, and now, so he assigned over most of his wells, but maybe there was some other stuff in Joe Blow operating that you were unaware of, and you look on that site and you see it. So you bought all of his stuff. Like you have a PSA that says you bought all of their stuff. Is that possible?
Yeah, you could go back and make a claim, and the state can show that your proof of title is good, and you should be able to recover those funds.
Do I need to change my name for you? For anything
I just said you never know. Some of the stuff I bought, part of it was really well organized. The other part had been swapped over for so long. So I get random emails like, "Hey, do you want this well?" Or random letters that were sent to someone else and then came back. So, yeah, that's a thing I'm dealing with on a regular basis. So
fascinated by all this. All right, plug away, buddy boy. I'm glad you're in town.
Yeah.
You have a long drive back. I'm not going to keep you
Thanks
forever.
for having me up. Garrison Financial, Scott Garrison. If you'd like to talk about any of your personal financial needs, if you'd like to talk to me about any of your personal financial needs, or if you'd like to talk with me about company benefits, let's get together. One of the biggest things I want you to know is that any benefits that you give, if you have more than one company, you got to be careful because you're probably supposed to give it to all of your employees. So, also one of the things, can I say something?
wait, Scott, that's only if you have the same ownership.
That's true.
Yes.
Actually, it's if you're a 50% ownership or more.
You want to say something
Wait,
about
no.
the
If you
tailgate
had
party?
3 people, Scott, if you had 3 people that own 2 entities.
Majority ownership.
Yeah, but they brought in a 4th guy. That would be a different ownership at
Allegedly.
that point.
But
In one of the entities, right? So I've looked at
it
this.
can
You
get-
got to have
it can
you
get-
have material differences, and then you can. Actually
I'll let
avoid
attorneys
that.
handle that. So
He's just trying to help out the small business.
Oh, I know it. No,
Yeah.
it's something I had to look into.
one of the things that I do want to touch on that is important to me because I just had a client go through it and not related to oil and gas is if you have a family member or a child with special needs, that child can only have $2,000 of personal assets before they start losing Social Security benefits. So whether it's with me, whether it's with somebody else, make sure that you're taking care of those kids. There's a lot of really great programs that can take care of those kids too. A lot of great, really great savings programs that can go towards those kids. So,
There you go.
yeah.
Garrison Financial in the house.
Yep, there you go.
Jeremiah, come on, plug something.
F5.
The
Someone
F5.
cook. Someone do stuff. F5 is awesome. Fin Fur Feather Food
The
Festival.
Fin Fur Feather Food Festival by the AADE Midcon.
It's so much fun. So definitely want more people to cook weird shit for me to eat.
Well,
so.
last year we had beaver, and they were beaver brisket tacos.
Mm-hmm.
The guy went out and trapped them and smoked them for a couple days. Fell apart, delicious, tender. Who knew?
Mm-hmm.
Mind-boggling how delicious it
So that's Oklahoma AADE. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean,
put in a team.
I don't know what the other AAD chapters do with their F5, but we had amazing cook teams.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I mean,
You know James Atkinson?
I
Yeah,
made
know.
pierogies out of the deer that I'm killed, and it was like wild mushrooms.
Did you or did
and
Nick?
Nick showed me how to make the dough, and so we all sat around making the pierogies themselves. But I actually killed the deer, brought the mushrooms, made the cranberry chutney sauce to toss over. The
When does it
pierogies.
become a chutney?
I feel
Outside
like
of
I'm
a
on
jelly or
Martha
something else.
Stewart
Yeah.
right
Depends
now.
on the. I mean,
know, it's
when you mix the
impressive.
sweet and the savory and the onions and the
Ladies
curry.
and gentlemen, Matthew Stewart.
Yeah.
So savory and a sweet is a chutney if it's a.
I mean, if I
it's
put
a
onions
jam.
in it and use a little bit of curry powder in it, I'd call it a chutney.
Okay.
a sauce, a condiment, if you will.
Oh, no.
You know
Judgy.
James Atkinson out of Elk City? Do you know
No,
him?
I don't know who that is.
Well, his
Is
dad
he
used to
doing
come in my
F5?
barber shop a long time ago. He said he had skunk. He said,
Not
said
getting
skunk
that.
was really good.
There's nope. Anybody?
Well, you get rid of the glands. I mean, I'm sure it's good.
I'll try it. Obviously, I'll eat anything. All right, well, guys, this is our.
Did you have
show.
something to plug?
I'm going to run the Down Syndrome Association 5K this weekend. So if you guys want to give to special needs charities, my daughter Bella has Down syndrome, and they've always been clutch and giving out information to people, that have Down syndrome kids when they're born, and they do a lot of programs. Luckily, I mean, Misty and I have been very fortunate. We haven't really needed, stuff for us, but those families that do, they have a lot of good programs. So.
Matt, is there a football game coming up or anything?
Oh, if anybody out there is watching, every home game in Norman, we have the Oilfield Tailgate. You can go to oilfieldtailgate.com. That's kind of how all this got started. Is I wanted to start making a podcast to promote all of the people who sponsor those events, and so we all pitch in. And every home game we get to host everybody that's in the oil field in Oklahoma that day to come down to Norman to Othello's, and we give them food, drinks, and live music. Usually a local Oklahoma artist. We had last weekend was a really good time. We had probably 1,000 people come through there. Johnny Woods played, so
They were
anybody,
great.
yeah,
They
good
were really
time.
great.
So what time are you kicking off this?
I think
this
the
weekend?
home game this time
6:30, bud.
6:30. So we get to do 3 hours. So 3:00. 3:00 on Saturday. Come down to Othello's. It's going to get wild.
Oh yeah.
It's not really that wild. Your kids are welcome, or your llamas.
Yeah, I have
If you wanna
alpacas.
bring-
Those are my kids.
If
I
you
don't have
want to
any
bring
other
them
They
for a
can
free
spit,
petting
they can be
zoo, for
unruly.
No,
the kids,
llamas spit. Alpacas are quite timid.
I'd say, hey, you heard it here first. He's bringing one of the Alpacas down as a petting zoo for the kids.
I've tried to ride them.
kids.
They are very timid. They won't even let you ride them.
Are you going to bring the kids? I'm going to bring mine. Come on down. See you Saturday, Donna. All right. She said yes. That's it, everybody. We're going to see you on the next show. Take care. God bless. Goodbye.